All right, welcome everyone. So to get yourself prepared and ready, stretching is a common thing to do. However, most people miss the opportunity to also train their mind because while they're stretching, they're thinking about something else or they're chatting with a friend. So today, I want to introduce some yoga concepts and some yoga poses that'll help you prepare your body, but also your mind. So we're really going to be trying to focus on our deep breathing. All right. So before we even start any movement, I want you to think about how you inhale and exhale. So your diaphragm is this muscle, or actually kind of two muscles. Let's separate your chest cavity from your abdominal cavity. And when you inhale, you want to push that down, almost like you're feeling like you're breathing into your belly. Now, you don't have lungs in your belly, but that's kind of mentally what you're going for. So you can think about breathe as you inhale, breathe downward first, expand the rib cage second, and then maybe your chest will lift a little bit at the very end. So that's your inhale. On your exhale, you're just going to allow everything to squeeze back in and take that diaphragm back up toward the heart. All right. So do your best with this. If you haven't had much experience using your diaphragm before, it can be challenging, but that's where I want you to mentally focus once you get into these various positions. Okay, so we'll start by actually sitting down, and I want you to look at the pose first. So the first pose we're going to do is like eye of the needle pose. All right, so it's typically we'll stretch out a hip, maybe a little groin, but your lower body. It's going to affect different people in different ways. All right. And the reason it's called eye of the needle is because you put one leg on top of the other, and then you're going to thread your arm in between your legs to grab on. I'll show you from the front as well. So I'm going to put my ankle on top of my thigh. I'm going to slide that hand in between and grab either the back of the knee or the front of the knee. So come on and do that with me now. Lay on down. You're going to start with your right ankle on top of your left thigh, close to your knee. Pause for a second before you even start, and I just want you to count how long your inhale lasts and how long your exhale lasts. And I want you to really slow it down as best you can. So you're not trying to rush through your inhale and exhale, you're trying to lengthen it and deepen it and slow it down. You might even want to close your eyes here, let your eyelids be heavy as you shift into what's happening inside of your body. So rather than worrying about your next class or what you have to do later or something that happened in the past, I want you to really just focus all your attention on your breath right now. Lift your head and shoulders up off the ground as you take your right hand in between your legs and grab onto your left leg with both hands. Again, you can do this behind the knee or in front of the knee, and then try to relax your head and shoulders down. Now, some of you might be really, really tight and you can't get your head and shoulders down. You could put a pillow underneath your head. So remember, I want you just to focus on your breath, trying to make it a little bit longer, a little bit slower, and allow that to help ease any sensation that you might be feeling in a stretch. Now, if you're not getting a lot of sensation, you could pull your leg more towards you as you use your other elbow to push the opposite knee away. So in this scenario, I'm pulling my left leg towards me as I'm pushing my right knee away. And for my body, I'm feeling it on my outer hip. Again, your body is different. You might feel it there, you might feel it somewhere else. It's not about where you feel it, it's just about noticing where that feeling is and then using your breath to maybe go a little bit deeper. Now, you might hear my breath coming through on the microphone. That's just a sound that I'm making with the base of my throat. If you want to do that sort of fogging ocean sound, you're welcome to do it as well. But really, it's just more important that you breathe as deeply as you possibly can using that diaphragm. Now we'll curl ourselves up at the very end here, squeeze everything in, finish and exhale totally, and then we'll release. Switching sides. Now I'm putting my left ankle on top of my right knee, pausing for a moment to reconnect with our breath, reconnect with our mind, being right here with our body and what's happening in this moment. And now this time, I'm going to lift my head and shoulders up. My left arm is going to come in between the legs, so threading it through the eye of the needle. Both hands are going to grab on somewhere on this right leg. I call it the lever leg because I'm pulling it like a lever to increase the sensation of the stretch. This is really intense for you. You can back out. In fact, what I find is really helpful if the stretch gets too intense, you should back out. And instead, wait for an exhale to go like a quarter inch or a half inch deeper. And then stop. Stop there intentionally. Take a big breath in, maybe like 5, 6 seconds long. And then exhale maybe a little bit deeper. Maybe it's only like an eighth of an inch deeper. Maybe you don't go deeper at all. Maybe there's so much sensation that you need just kind of pause and be with that for a second. And again, if you want to pull this leg a little closer, so bring your right knee closer to your chest, while your left elbow and your left forearm push your left knee away at the same time. And on your last exhale, you're going to bring your head and shoulders up and squeeze yourself into a bit of a ball here. And go a little bit deeper. And then unwind, pause for a moment. And I want you to count how long your inhale and how long your exhale lasts, trying to make them a bit longer than when we started. Now, the next pose we're going to do is called hand to big toe pose, or reclining hand to big toe pose in this case. You probably will need something to grab onto, so like an old t-shirt that you don't mind if it gets stretched out, or like an old towel. I happen to have some actual like yoga straps, so this could be like an old belt, or if you actually have a yoga strap in your house, you can pause the video right now and go ahead and grab that. All right. So again, this could be anything. It's basically just something to make your make your arms a little bit longer. So I'm gonna lay down. Both knees are bent, feet are flat. Start. Okay. Chill. Eyes closed, breath deep. So let's get back into that zone. Now we're gonna take whatever it is we have, our strap, our towel, our old t-shirt, and we are going to put it around the right foot. Okay. Now, you want to try to do it close to the toes, but not on the toes. It's typically called the ball of the foot. Some people will naturally put it in the arch of the foot. That's not bad, but you give a little bit more control when you put it in the ball of the foot. Now I can wrap my hands around this or just kind of do whatever I can do to get my grip. And I'm going to start to straighten my legs. I'm really going to kick my leg into this strap. I'm talking about go for it. Now, just straightening your leg like this in this position might give you a stretch. I want to acknowledge that. So if you're real tight in your hamstring, this might be it. In fact, you might have to lower your leg down to keep it straight. And again, if you're feeling sensation, that's all that matters. That means your body's starting to open up. And you could slowly start to take your leg back as you start to feel more comfortable. Or maybe not as you feel more comfortable, but as you feel like your body can sort of like be with it and realize that it's just discomfort. It's not pain, it's not hurting, it's just your body starting to undo some of its tendencies for tightness. And again, we're going to deepen our breath. Again, closing your eyes is a really nice way to do this. Pulling your toes back towards your face as you reach your right heel away from your face. Now, again, we're going to be here for about 4 or 5 breaths. You could stay here, or you could straighten your left leg out onto the ground. That typically makes things a little bit more interesting in terms of feedback from your body. But again, there's no place that you need to go. As long as you are feeling sensation, you're focused on your breath, that's what matters most. Sometimes it helps to go back to counting your breath. If your mind is really active and wanting to stray away, this technique of counting is a nice way to remain focused. But again, you remember every exhale, you just want to inch a little bit deeper. On this last breath, we're going to reach both legs away. So if your left leg straight, really reach that one away from your head. Reach your right leg away from your head and really go for it. If this knee is bent, you can just stay focused on the right leg. That's totally fine. And really take it back as far as you can go. Nice. Now, as you lower it, I want you to reach it forward as it goes down, forward as it goes down, forward as it goes all the way down. And then just pause for a moment. Notice the different feeling in the right and left side of your body, if there is one. And then we'll start for side two. So bend both knees, put the feet flat, and put whatever it is you're using around your left foot. Now, some people who are so flexible, they can hook their toes, hence hand to big toe pose, and do it like this. So you can see my shoulders coming up off the ground. I'm a little bit overextended here. I'm getting a huge stretch in the back of my legs. So that's a little bit too much for me. So if you are more flexible and you want to do it without the strap or towel, you're welcome to do that. Again, there's no judgment. It doesn't matter. There's not a good or better in terms of like how deep you get into a stretch or pose with yoga. It's really about the quality that you're doing it with. So are you focused on your breath? Are you focused on what's happening right here and right now? That's the thing I want to stress the most. Now remember, we're deeply breathing, we're slowing things down. Because once we get into the position, it's not that complicated. Instead, our focus goes into using that diaphragm and taking bigger and bigger inhales and longer exhales. Now, you might also have noticed a difference from the first side to the second side. This is also something you don't need to evaluate, you don't need to analyze, but you do need to notice. If you constantly realize, oh, my left side is more tight than my right side, then maybe you want to take a couple extra breaths on that tight side to help even everything out. Again, those of you who want to straighten that leg out, you totally can. We've got about 3 more long, slow breaths here. Just trying to coax your body a little bit deeper with each exhale. Now, if your opposite leg is straight, I want you to reach it. So reach through both heels, pull both sets of toes back toward the body to really see if you can accentuate this. And then you take that left leg forward as it goes down, forward as it goes down, forward as it goes down, and lands. Pausing here for a moment, just checking in, and then bend both knees all the way into the chest. And let's just rock and roll ourselves all the way up into a seated position. Okay, now from the seated position, we're going to do a seated one-legged forward fold. So stretch one leg out. I'll mirror this as your right leg and bring your left leg in. So the bottom of my left foot is placed on the inside of my right leg. Now, you might still want to use your strap or whatever it is that you have here. And this is good. This is actually very similar to the sit and reach uh, in the FitnessGram testing. So this is a really good one to practice when maybe you're just watching some TV or you're sitting on your living room floor chilling out instead of sitting on your couch. This is a great one to get into. On the sit and reach, actually, the leg is like this. So if you want to practice it like that, you can, but the yoga posture, the knee is out to the side. All right. So my right leg is straight. So I'm going to take my my right hand, and I'm going to place it just out to the side for a little bit of balance. Okay. Now I'm going to take my left arm up. All right. So I want to try to create some space here. Like really get long as you inhale. And then as you exhale, you're going to take this left arm across your body and grab on the outside of the leg somewhere. Maybe you can grab the outside of the toes, or maybe you put whatever it is around and you grab on from there. Okay, so we're gently twisting the body just to make sure that our heart stays in line with our straight leg. Now, from here, breathe. Breathe deeply. And it doesn't matter where you're grabbing onto your leg or if you're using a strap or a towel. All right, so as long as you are starting to feel some opening, that's the most important. And what we're going to do is we're going to kind of come in and out of this. So on your exhale, you're going to let your shoulders round and you're going to let yourself fall as deeply as you can into it. When you inhale, you're going to roll your shoulders away from your neck and your ears and get long, kind of like a turtle head coming out of its shell. And then when the exhale comes, you'll use that length to go forward as you go down. Again, inhaling, coming up about halfway. Kind of go gadget neck. Reach long through your spine. Exhale, bring it back down. Now, really try to use your breath here. Long inhale as you come out. Like, keep that inhale going as long as you can. Don't stop it just because I start to move into my exhale. So, really start to follow the rhythm of your own breath. And when that exhale comes, you're going to take it down. Now let's stay down for a second. We'll bring this right hand into the game, cross the ankles, cross at the wrists, and hang on to the foot, or maybe both hands can grab onto your strap. So depending on how open or tight you are. And again, where are you feeling it? It's going to be different for everyone, but typically somewhere in the lower body. You might even feel a little bit of a stretch in the back and the shoulders as you reach. All right, let's do the second side. So I'm going to take my left leg straight. I'm going to bend the right knee in. Okay. Now, I've been dealing with a little bit of injury on my knee. So when I drop it, I feel a little twisting. So I'm going to just grab a blanket here. You can grab a cushion from your couch if you need a little bit of that extra support. Now, my left leg is straight. My left arm is going to just give me some support, kind of like a kickstand. On the inhale, my right arm is going to reach up. On the exhale, it's going to reach over and forward and down to reach what it can on the outside of the leg. Let the shoulders come down. Let the heart come down. Try to relax into this, even though your body might be feeling pretty tight here. So this is kind of the secret. So as your body is feeling like this sensation and almost sort of stressful challenge, like can you still stay calm and focused? And this is sort of the life lesson that if I can continue to practice staying deep with my breath and staying calm and just looking at this and being like, okay, this isn't comfortable, but I can handle it. Then some of that starts to spill over in life. When like you're in an uncomfortable situation in life, you're like, okay, this isn't ideal, but I can still like breathe deeply here and like be with it. And I can actually maybe learn a little bit more about myself through the process. Or maybe I can like look to find solution rather than ways to escape it. So let's take a couple breaths coming out. So come out halfway, get long in the spine. Turtle comes out of the shell. Finish the inhale, and then exhale a little bit deeper. So you can go to any variation that makes sense. So if you like wanted a deeper stretch and you wanted to go right to the wrist crossing and all the way in, that's fine. But just be honest with yourself. Simple as that. It's more of a sign of wisdom that you listen to your body and what your body needs and what it can handle versus trying to force something deeper. Last two breaths here. All right. So once we come out of this, we're going to go ahead and stand up. I'm going to come down to all fours. Now I'm going to step my 1 foot forward. This is my left leg. I'm going to step forward. My right knee is going to stay down. I'm just going to be in a low lunge here for a moment. Okay, now we're going to set up high lunge where our back knee is off the ground, but it might be helpful just to hang out here for a breath or two. And if this is really feeling like it's opening a lot, you can pause the video and hang out here for another like 5 to 7 breaths. So to go into high lunge, we're going to tuck our back toes underneath, lift the back knee up off the ground. Okay, and if it feels like the ground is really far away, you can you got yoga blocks or maybe some 2 paper towel rolls or something like that. But this pose is a bit of a balance, all right? So you might have seen I hopped my right foot out a little bit. So you want to look back and you want your feet to be like on railroad tracks instead of like on a tightrope. So I'm going to a little bit of width here. So I stepped my right foot over to the right a little. Now I'm going to bring my hands up onto my front knee. I'm going to pause here. I'm keeping my eyes focused on the floor in front of me to help with my balance. Now, my back heel is going to want to spin down for most of us to help us balance. We're going to keep that thing up. All right, so keep that back heel up. Maybe you stay here with your hands on your front thigh, okay? Maybe you bring your hands onto your waist. Squeeze your legs into the center. Maybe you bring your hands in front of your heart. Maybe you bring your arms all the way up. Now, wherever you're choosing to keep your arms, keep those eyes focused on one thing. Now, whatever variation you have with your arms, think about your crown of your head lifting up. We're going to bend this right knee an inch or two above the ground. It might get a little intense here. Lift up through the crown of your head at the same time. Now straighten that back leg. We'll do that twice more. Lower the right knee about an inch above the ground, and then straighten it out. All right, here we go. Now with the breath. Inhale, or when the inhale comes to you, bend that knee down. Finish the inhale. Exhale, straighten it out. Whew. Okay, now let that back heel come down. Straighten your front leg. Nice little release. Okay, so that was high lunge. So now our back heel's down, our toes are kind of like on an angle forward, and our front leg is straight. So we're going to go into pyramid pose. All right. Take your hands onto your waist, and you're going to turn them as best you can so they're facing the same direction as your front leg. Now, from here, we're going to hinge at the hips. Like someone's pulling our left hip pocket back, we're going to pull it back and reach forward at the same time. I feel a stretch right here already. All right, maybe you can go a little bit lower. This is getting way more intense for me. Pyramid pose. Hands can come down onto the ground. They can even come onto your leg. Just don't push on your knee. Okay, the knee is a hinge joint. We don't want to push that and maybe injure it by hyperextending it. Now, the other thing you can do is just hop your foot a little bit closer, a little bit wider out to feel more stable. And we'll do that thing we did in the seated one-legged forward fold. We'll come up halfway, get long through the spine, so turtle head out of the shell, and then exhale, back down. Inhale, coming up. Exhale, dive it down. One more time. So go at your own pace. And release. Go ahead, roll yourself all the way up. And what we're going to do is we're just going to pivot our feet around and we're going to face the other direction to do the other side. So we'll start with low lunge, back knee down, hands can come down, and just hang out here. And again, for some of you, this might be plenty of a stretch and you want to pause it, and you want to add this to your routine a little bit longer. But for high lunge, tucking the back toes underneath, lift the back knee up off the ground. And again, you might want to hop that left foot a little to the left or kind of bounce it around. Okay, now this feels pretty good. I feel like I'm in a good place to walk my hands up my thigh and pause. Eyes are focused right here. If you're looking at me on the screen right now, you're probably wobbling and about to fall over. Just listen to my voice. You already did this on the first side. Be with it. Breath. Squeeze the lower body together. Eyes focused. Hands can go onto the waist, in front of your heart, or up overhead. You can kind of choose what works best for you. Now, eyes still focused. Don't let that back heel come down, because that back heel is up off the ground. And what we'll do is we'll slowly lower the left knee about an inch above the ground. Finish that breath as you push it back straight. So inhale as you dip the knee down. Don't touch the ground though. And if you fall, that's okay. Just take your time and come back. Don't rush back into it. Go slowly so you can maintain your balance as best as possible. All right. Hands can come down to the waist and hop that back heel down, straighten the front leg, shake it out a little bit, setting up for pyramid pose. Again, my hips are going to turn to face the same direction as my front leg. Maybe my back leg kind of hops out a little bit. I pull my right hip back. It's like someone's pulling onto my pocket and pulling it back as I start to lean forward. Whew, already getting something there. Notice it. Maybe wait for an exhale to explore a little bit further. Pyramid. Inhale. You can float up halfway. Rib cage expands. Exhale. Surrender. 2 more times like that. Now we'll just hang out here for one last breath. Keep pulling that right hip pocket back. Keep that breath deep and notice where your mind is at. Now we're going to stay down here, keep our hands on the ground, and bring both knees onto the floor. So you can have a look, just kind of a tabletop position. The last thing we'll do before we get into some of our more dynamic movement here for today's class, or for this exercise routine, is downward facing dog. So it's pretty much an upside down V. I come from a tabletop position, tuck my toes underneath, I lift my knees up off the ground. Now, my feet aren't together, a little bit apart, and my tailbone is reaching up toward the sky. Now, from here, I'm going to try to push my chest back towards my legs. Now, notice my knees are bent. It's going to help my tailbone reach up toward the sky. And this will keep my lower back happy. If you really try to force your legs straight and you're not tight enough, you'll have this round back, which I'm demonstrating now. And over time, your lower back will start to pull and ache. So again, bend the knees, tailbone to the sky, and then maybe work the knees towards straight. They don't have to get there. Notice where you feel sensation. For some of you, it might be in the upper body. Some of you, it's in the lower body. Some of you, it's going to be both. It's all valid. Again, how can you manage a challenging situation with focusing on your breath? Deepen it a little bit. We'll be here for one more deep breath. You can do this. Really push the ground away, tailbone to the sky, and then relax on down to the knees. Now, if that felt good to you, go ahead, take one or two more of those downward facing dogs if you like. But I don't know about you, but my body's a little bit warm, feeling a little bit more loosey goosey and ready to get with it. So um, come back to this as much as you need to, but this is a great way to prepare your body and your mind to have some really integrated exercise and movement.